Hello, Climic Review family. It's Dr. Sharon with Climic Reviews, and today we're going to be doing trauma questions. It's going to be mostly abuse trauma questions, particularly against women, but it could be any really kind of abuse. So let's go ahead and get started. Hopefully you watched the Blue Book video yesterday that Mark Klimek did, and you'll see what he talked about there. He talked about our trauma. I'm saying R instead of the whole word because sometimes YouTube doesn't like those kind of words to be said. So when we go through the questions, you're going to see that I'm going to say R instead of the whole word. All right, question number 1. A female client is referred to the mental health clinic for depression. The nurses notice bruises on her upper arms and asks about them. The client starts to cry and says, John doesn't mean to hurt me, but I hate for the kids to see this. I'm so worried about them. What is the most important data for the nurse to gather? A, type and extent of abuse occurring in the family. B, potential of immediate danger to the client and their children. C, resources available to the client. Or D, whether the client wants to allow the spouse in the clinic. Okay, so we have a depression problem and we have a potential abuse problem. So when you had to prioritize which problem to address between emotional psych or safety, you always have to prioritize safety. The only thing you would prioritize higher than safety is an objective physical problem like severe hypertension, hyperkalemia. I would prioritize those things higher than a safety issue, but there's no physical problems here. There's depression, which is an emotional psych problem. Okay. That's not considered a physiological problem, even though you and I both know it is. Okay. But I'm talking about on the NCLEX. So I want to prioritize the safety problem. And so when I think about prioritizing the safety problem, you say, well, which answer addresses that? The type and extent of the abuse, that's just assessing the type and extent of the abuse. That's not addressing the safety issue. Potential for immediate danger, that's addressing the safety issue. Resources available, again, that's not addressing the safety issue. Once I figure out how safe she is, I can do that. Whether the client wants to allow the spouse in the clinic, again, I have to assess her safety before I really do anything else. So I have to do B. All right, question 2. The nurse is planning care for a client who's being abused. Sorry, there's a typo here. The nurse is planning care for a client who's being abused. Which measure is most important to include? Being compassionate and empathetic. Yes, that's important. Teaching the client about abuse and the cycle of violence. I'm not sure that's most important right now. Explaining to the client about the client's personal and legal rights. Yes, that's important. Helping the client to develop a safety plan. Okay. So again, we've got the same issue here. So let's say I'm stuck between A and D. Most important is best. That's best. So it means I can only do one thing. Would it be better for me to be so if I can choose between compassionate, empathetic, but not helping them develop a safety plan, or developing a safety plan, but not being compassionate and empathetic, y'all, I have to develop a safety plan because that's safety. Empathetic and compassion is great, but I have to address safety. I have to do that. Okay. Hello, Climic Review family. As most of you know, this YouTube channel is a part of the Climic Review NCLEX review business that's run by Mark Klimek. And the YouTube channel is an opportunity for you to see what we do and how we help you pass NCLEX without any cost to you. But we also offer some things that you can pay for that are really worth paying for. And I want to tell you a little bit about those things. So if you go to climicreviews.com, you will see when you first get there, it'll tell you about Climic Connect. And Climic Connect is actually a free community that you can join. And Mark Klimek does participate in the Climic Connect community. So you can join that. You can actually see some videos from Mark Klimek and you can have some interaction with him. You can ask him questions and so forth and make recommendations that you would like to see. If you go ahead and scroll down, you actually will see some of the other products that we provide. You can see our world famous NCLEX review that Mark Klimek does, and you can purchase it online on demand. And you can have access to it for a minimum of 3 months. And then I think you can purchase it for a little bit longer. Mark Klimek actually teaches
These lectures, they are on demand, so they're recorded, but they're really phenomenal. You're going to learn so much by taking this NCLEX review. Mark developed it specifically for people who struggle to pass. So especially if you're struggling to pass, I recommend it. And then even if you're not struggling to pass or you haven't taken the NCLEX yet, we do recommend, or I recommend, the tutoring. I teach one of the tutoring sessions and it's live stream, so you can actually talk to me, see what's going on, ask me questions personally. Mark Klimek teaches two of those live streams. You can actually meet him and talk to him. And then Dr. Pete or Trevor teaches the other one. And there are obviously there's four. I just told you there's four. And they are also recorded so that if you can't attend the live stream, you can watch them in recording. Or if you attend the live stream and want to watch them again, you can do that as well. So these are some of the products that we offer. And I do recommend looking into them. There's some really terrific products. Even if you don't do those, we're so glad you're part of the Climic Review family on YouTube. And we do want to support you in passing NCLEX. That's our goal across the board, is supporting you in passing your NCLEX and becoming nurses, because we really need nurses to provide excellent care. So we wish you all the best as you prepare to take your NCLEX, and see you later as part of the family. Bye.
3, when caring for a client who was a victim of a crime, the nurse is aware that recovery from any crime can be a long and difficult process, depending on the meaning it has for the client. Arrange the goals in order from first to last that the nurse expects the client to achieve as the client reconstructs their life. So in the video that Mark did yesterday or 2 days ago, he talked about our trauma syndrome. And he talked about how there being 2 phases. So in the immediate phase, right after, you have disorganization and reorganization. Well, you have disorganization immediately and then later reorganization. And so what you want to think about, if it's early as disorganization, which of these are more disorganized? It showed that the patient's more disorganized, and then they start to reorganize their life in a way that they can then live with. So regaining a sense of safety and security, that seems like reorganization. Getting through the shock and confusion, that seems like disorganization. Resolving grief over any losses. So resolving grief, that seems like kind of the end of the disorganization phase. And then carrying out home and work routines, that's reorganization. That's being able to live the life again. So if I were to say getting through shock and confusion before or after resolving grief, because that's disorganization. So I'm going to say, well, no, getting through the shock and confusion is going to happen before resolving grief, right? So those are the 2 things I need to do first. And the getting over the shock is always early on. Now, am I going to carry out home and work routines before or after I regain a sense of safety and security? Interestingly enough, they're going to carry out home and work routines first, because they can carry out their routines. They're reorganizing their life. We want them to carry out the routines even if they haven't fully regained a sense of safety and security yet. They may not regain a sense of safety and security until the end. Like, it could be years before they regain a sense of safety and security. But I want them to be able to carry out work and home routines even if they haven't fully regained safety and security, because they need to be able to live their life and to function on a daily basis. 4, the nurse cares for a client who is ARD. Which intervention is most important for the nurse to implement? Okay, so it doesn't tell me what phase we're in or anything like that. So we're going to just see what the answers are. Continuing to encourage the client to report the R to the legal authorities. I don't know that we really encourage that. As healthcare providers, honestly, we don't really encourage that. We can ask them if they want to, but it's not really our role to encourage them to do that. So I don't really love A. B, recommending that the client resume sexual relations with their partner as soon as possible. I don't like that answer either. That's not something I'd be doing right off the bat. C, periodically reminding the client that they did not deserve and did not cause the R. I mean, yeah, because you know how they feel? They feel guilty. They feel guilty, like maybe they did something wrong. What was I wearing? How was I acting? Did I lead him on? Did I smile at him, right? And you're like, no, you don't deserve this. D, telling the client that the R type of will eventually be caught, put on trial, and jailed. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm not going to say that ever. I don't love A. I don't love B. I don't love D. So C is not the thing I would have thought right off the bat was the right answer, but compared to the other answers, it's definitely the best answer out of all of these. And Mark has always said the right answer is the right answer because of the other answers. So that's why you have to read all the answers before you pick the right answer and kind of think about each answer. You go through it and go, do I like it? Do I not? Because then what you do is if you get to the end and you have two that you like, then you compare them, right? You can always go back through and reread them again. If you're not sure, if you're still not sure, reread the question again. 5, the nurse is caring for a client who was R'd several months ago. Which of the following statements by the client requires immediate intervention by the nurse? Okay, so the client's going to say something. I'm going to say, I have to do something about this. I can't let them go home until I've addressed this problem. Okay, A, I need to get out of this city. I'm moving and changing my phone number. I mean, that's part of reorganization, right? They're reorganizing their life. They're trying to figure out where they feel safe. They may need a new phone number. I mean, that's actually expected because immediate intervention are things that are unexpected. Okay. Immediate intervention is an unexpected finding. So A is expected. B, I have so much trouble sleeping that I need to have a couple drinks before I sleep. Okay. Well, they're having trouble sleeping. That's not that surprising, but to have a couple drinks before I sleep, that's unexpected. I mean, I understand it, but it's a problem. C, I knew my rapist from school, so I've dropped out of school and I'm taking classes remotely. That's part of reorganization. That's actually expected. They want to get away from the places they knew they are. They need to find new locations because they need to feel safe. So C is actually expected. D, I'm so glad I didn't get pregnant. I'm not sure I ever want to have a baby. I mean, I understand that. That doesn't require immediate intervention. That's totally understandable. So the one that requires immediate intervention that's not expected is B, and that's because of the drinking before sleep. Okay, last question. Nurse is assessing a client who's been abused. And this is true for any kind of abuse. It could be any kind of abuse, and the answers would be the same. The nurse should assess the client for which characteristics, select all that apply. Okay, so what are some of how do we answer this question? I assess them for things that I want to intervene in. So I'm not assessing them for things that I go, oh, that's healthy. I generally assess them for things that I go, okay, I might say, yeah, I can understand why you feel that way, but I still need to intervene, right? So I assess them for characteristics where I need to intervene. So I would need to intervene with an abused client who's feeling assertive. Well, no, I don't have to intervene with that. I would have to intervene in an abused client who's self-blaming. Yes, I need to intervene with that. I need to intervene with an abused client who's abusing alcohol. Yes, I need to intervene. I need to intervene with an abused client who's having suicidal thoughts. Yes, I need to intervene. I'm intervene with an abused client who's feeling guilt. Yes, I need to intervene. Now, that doesn't mean I'm intervening and like sending them to inpatient psych. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I need to like periodically remind them it's not your fault. You didn't deserve this. You didn't do anything to deserve it. So that's the kind of thing where when I say intervene, I may just have to verbally intervene, but I'm still going to have to intervene. Okay. So I hope this helped you better understand what Mark talked about in the Walk Through the Blue Book. And you can get the Blue Book at Amazon. Just type in Blue Book Gold Edition by Mark Klimek into Amazon. You'll be able to find it. Hey, I'm not making any money off of that, y'all. So I'm just letting you know it's out there and it's a great resource. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks. Bye.